So, Rob, race day, we'll come to race day, but registration the day before the event, so much goes on behind the scene, and most of registration and the tech side falls into your portfolio.
Yeah.
Give me a rundown of actually what you do, because I think you've been quite lazy in the background. I don't see it. So what actually goes on?
AI does it.
That's part
no,
of it now.
You're right. I mean, I think I've been involved with computers and essentially just being lazy and want to go paddling all the time, that I wanted to set up Freedom Paddle right from the word go, where if we did something once, which should be repeatable to do it every year. So it's never really worked out the way, because I keep thinking of a better way to do it, and then I have to redo it again. So that's been the story that's been going on. But yeah, the tech side of it runs right from when you enter the race, right in the beginning, and all the communications you get. And that's all feeding into our registration system, which we kind of pull from the PSA system into our own little system, and then we push it into WebScorer. And WebScorer is a fantastic tool that times our race does registration. And when you come down on registration day and you're talking to the lads and the girls there behind the laptops, they're looking at WebScorer on their computers, and they're confirming all your details. So really what registration is all about is confirming the information we've got for you rather than capturing your information, which is how we were able to get through a huge amount of people quite quickly. And if you do have to make any changes, the system's flexible enough. Let's say your partner's got sick and you're going as a single or a new partner, we can accommodate those kinds of things as well. But yeah, the tech side of it, we spend a lot of time on, because essentially it just makes our lives easier. If it works. So far, so good.
but you always say to me, the outcome is as good as what you put in. So if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out.
Yep.
And I think you spend a lot of time with checks, even right that evening before the race, after registration is closed, you scouring through that stuff.
You're absolutely spot on. So everyone's climbing into those beers on the registration night, which I think is going to be a Sunday night this year. And I've probably had a beer or two as well, but with caution, because you're right. I go home and take the registration data. Now that everything's confirmed, that's not sitting on a cloud in the sky on a WebScorer website. We've got to get it down onto the devices, the iPad that we use to time the race.
Right.
And if we don't put good data into that timing device, it means our results are going to be nonsense, and therefore prize giving's delayed and prize giving's a mess. So everything has a knock-on effect. So we spent a lot of time that evening. I'm up until about midnight going through all that data and making sure everything is spot on. Fortunately, by then I've kind of know every entrant by name. I've been looking at that data for so long that I can spot an issue a mile off.
Yeah, that's incredible. But in the early days, I think you actually used to run preliminary races just to test that everything was working.
Yeah, you say in the early days, I still do that. Yeah, absolutely. But Richard, that's the tech side as well. But there's a huge amount that goes into building the whole race precinct too, which is definitely your portfolio. And I also kind of think Richard's being lazy, because I'm in the hall talking to everyone and being a host. And where's Rich? But you're outside there. There's a lot that goes on that day of registration. Well, take us through that.
Yeah, so we got to build the precinct. And we start at 12 o'clock on registration day. And we've got 4 hours to build racks. It's going to hold 300 odd craft. We've got to make provision for the coastal rowing boats now. And these things are massive. And they're taking up like one rack that has 40 skis on it. Now, where do we... Yep. So these are the challenges that I've got to deal with. And now you've got to deal with the parking, 1 or 2 cars in at a time, with valets taking your boats off, rushing it in, and trying to convince the guy who's just driven in to please leave so the next car can come in.
Because we're guests there as guests of Oceana. It's a vibe club. It's got its own members coming and going.
It's a really logistical... I'm not going to say a nightmare, but it's a challenge to get everyone to behave and do their things. And as you say, Oceana's got its own members coming in, and that's their club. We just theirs on their invite almost.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. It's a 4-hour challenge, and then it fades off once people have dropped their boats off. One
of my favorite things about it when we're setting up and we're building those racks there, which I sometimes get involved with because the computer work only comes later, is those paddlers who arrive early. I mean, we do get phone calls, can I drop trailers there? And of course, that's a question we get all the time. I'm driving down from Joburg, I'm coming down from Durban with a trailer full of skis, I'm arriving 4 days before the race, can I leave it at the club? And of course, that's really hard for us because it's actually not our club.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. So we try and accommodate everyone as best we can. And I think to date, we've made a plan for everyone's requests.
Yeah.
And that's what we are. We paddlers, we know how it is. And that's what we do.
Yeah. And I think we walked the road with Oceana as well now, where our hosts, really work with us. And if we phone and ask a favor and we don't take advantage, and can we put a trailer there a couple of days beforehand? Always happens. If we need to put a trailer in there a couple of days before, and we ask Oceana, and they normally let us there. But the actual point I was going to get to is what I love about those paddlers who come down early, well before registrations on the day, end up reaching and grabbing a pair of pliers or a roll of duct tape and building with us. It's fantastic. I mean, the vibe we get from the paddlers when we put this race on, I don't think we get a single complaint from anyone, no matter what. And I think that's probably because we're so good at it, eh?
No.
I think it's more like
we're just so likable.
We're just so likable. No, I really think it's just the quality of paddling, of paddler as a sport. Paddling is just the most fantastic sport, and we just see that vibe coming through with these guys who've paid money to be there to do a race. They're pitching in and helping build, which is fantastic.
It's wonderful. No, it's great.
Okay.
And then that's sort of registration taken care of, and then race day. Race day's logistics is off the charts.
Yeah.
And I don't think people appreciate what does go behind the scenes for any race, not just our race, but any paddling race that goes on. We start off, what time do we get there?
I think you and I normally get to the club about 5:30.
Yeah, so it's pitch dark. Yeah. We open the gate, get in there, and people start coming. We've got our safety boats are all starting to launch. We've got the camera crews are launching their boats so they can get everything ready. We've got the paddlers starting to arrive. What time do they get there?
Well, we asked the paddlers to get there around about 7:30, but the eager beavers sometimes are there at sunrise, which is great. Which is great.
And then you still got the guys who have missed the registration, who try and sneak in and drive in with their boats.
And that's a no-no. I'll say that now to anyone watching now. If you arrive on race day and you try and catch me on the corner and say, hey, I missed registration, can you make a plan? I'll tell you right now, the answer is no. We bend over backwards. We are as helpful as we can right through the entire entry period for months before. But on race day, we are a well-oiled machine. We can't afford any accommodation. At that point, it's we're now kind of running with carved in stone stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those things that just that's it. And then we volunteers. So on race day, you focus on the tech side of timing of the race.
So we've got from that side, as you say, I've got my team of volunteers, you've got your team of volunteers. Big up to the volunteers. I mean, we do run Freedom Paddle as a business, and we've got a lot of paid pros to be there. But on race day, it just wouldn't run without the volunteers. So I've got a team of, I think it's 8 timing people. We run, 6 timing people, 2 teams of 3. So someone is spotting the numbers, someone is writing down the numbers, and then someone's actually tapping into WebScorer on the pad. And then we run a redundant team that's doing exactly the same as well, in case we have any mess ups that we can cross-check between the two, which is why race numbers are so important. So if you make sure you write the right race numbers on the boat. And
also, I think you have a cameraman specifically dedicated to taking a photograph of every boat's number as they cross the line as a backup should the system fail.
Yeah, exactly. In case the system fails, we can scroll back. We've had to do that once, and we can pick up results from there. It's time-stamped as well. Right. And then should we have a photo finish, because we're a fairly high-profile event, if there's a photo finish, we've got photographic or video photographic too. Actually, no, it's a still photographer, that we can use to try and figure out those results. So those are the volunteers that are working from my side, and of course that rolls straight into prize giving. You've got a set of volunteers as well, though.
Yeah, so my volunteers, we work on the whole safety side of things. So my portfolio on a race day is the safety side. I make sure we've got all the safety craft on the water, all the boats looking after the different fields, the guys going around the island. We have boats at specific points to look after them, the sweep boats for the long course and for the short course. So that's quite a challenge, because I've got to launch them all before the paddlers arrive. And they've got to park their trailers and get everything out the way. So there's that logistic. And then on the slipway, we've got a team of 6 volunteers who run the safety check out and the safety check in.
That's the whistles, right?
Yeah. So they roam around in bright colored vests, and they will check that your safe tracks, your life jackets, your leashes, and all those bits and pieces. Then they'll give you a whistle that's got a number on it, and you tie that into your life jacket, and that gives you permission to go and launch and go and do your start. And then on your return, they take that whistle back from you, which is the check-in that you have now.
That you're safely
back on shore.
back off the water. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And it's a lot of admin, and it's not as simple as it sounds.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed how people slip through and go up the slipway and forget to hand in their whistle. So they've missed the check-in that they've come back.
We don't know if they're lost at sea or just having a beer.
And that sets off a whole chain reaction that we've got to go through, a whole protocol where we now got to go and look at safe tracks. We've got to go and speak to the sweep boats. It's an actual nightmare.
Yeah.
And,
So,
it happens every year.
so if you've got a whistle, what you're saying is if you've got a whistle and you haven't handed it in, make sure you get it handed in, because the knock-on effect is massive, absolutely massive. And I mean, in the logistics from your side, I always joke that I do a lot of work before the race. You do as well, but most of my workload's before the race. But on race day, especially if we have bad weather, which I think 3 or 4 years ago we had that northwester. If you've got multiple rescues going on in bad weather, you've got an awful lot to coordinate out on the water. Speak to us about the safety team, though. We've got highly skilled people out on the safety team, out on the running the boats out there.
Yeah, so we've got a professional outfit that comes and helps us and runs our safety on the water. And they take charge of the safety on the water and coordinate with myself. So I'm that silly little idiot who walks around. I got a walkie-talkie in this pocket, another walkie-talkie in this pocket, and all sorts of bits and pieces, relaying information backwards and forwards. And it's non-stop, talking about all the paddlers and where everyone is, and then also the knowing for the finish, so the timekeepers can be ready for the finish, because we actually struggle to identify paddlers until they're quite close only.
Yeah, I mean, there's that Granger Bay breakwater. If you know the race, if you've done it before, there's a Granger Bay breakwater. They stick their noses around that, and of course we're looking at them kind of nose on when the numbers are on the side. So sometimes we'll recognize who a paddler is, but to really identify them, it's only 50, 60 meters out.
And then we've got on the boat, so all the skippers are professional skippers, and then we put a lifeguard on each boat. So we've got a rescue crew on board as well. And funny enough, we have to have lifeguards at the pool as well, because the pool's open.
Yeah.
And last year we had a rescue at the pool.
I did not know that.
Yes,
really?
a young child fell into the pool and was pulled up by the safety.
Oh wow, fantastic!
So
wow.
It could have ended in tragedy, but and I'm amazed that's the only time it's ever happened, because a lot of people around that pool.
Yeah. We're cramming a lot of people into a really small precinct, which brings us to prize giving. So we have a mission, Rich. We've all set at races where you wait 2-3 hours before prize giving even starts. You've been in the sun all day, you've been paddling. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to have prize giving kind of happen as soon as it finishes. Now, we've got to wait until the last person crosses the line so that we can close the race on our timing software. So some of you who are doing the race, may finish an hour or two earlier, but, you're still waiting for someone to finish. But once that happens, my team jumps into action, and we normally can produce a full set of results that's been checked within about 15 minutes of the race finishing, which is actually a really, really narrow period of time. To be honest, that's my most stressful part of the day, because if we've got bad results, how do we do a prize giving? So that's a highly stressed moment for me. Everyone's having beers, everyone's having fun in the sun, and I'm in that back office. You joined me in that back office.
Yeah, I've joined you a few times in that back office.
You've seen the look in my eye. I'm deep in what they call the pit at that point, trying to make that happen. And then of course, if stickers come off a boat and we can't identify a boat, or there was any kind of issue there, that's when we fix it. And we know that the paddlers are sitting out by the pool, squashed into a small space. Not everyone's got shade, and fortunately the beers are flowing. But we want to get cracking on that prize giving as fast as we can. So we try and do it in about 15 to 20 minutes from the last paddler finishing, which we normally do, and I'm pretty impressed with that. I'm quite proud that we managed to pull that off each year.
It's getting better every year. It really is getting better every year.
Yeah.
But that's not, let's throw in weather and the weather delays into it, or fog.
Yeah, we had the fog year.
That puts another challenge on, because people have booked their flights to go back to Durban or Joburg or whatever, and now we've only started the race at 2:00 instead of at 9:00.
Yeah.
And that puts even more pressure on.
Yeah, it knocks everything on. I think that's the fascinating thing about organizing any kind of event that happens out in the wild. You can't control the weather, and you have best laid plans, and the weather comes along and says no. And I think that's something that you and I have worked really, really hard at, to try and be rigid in so much that we can plan and organize around it, but again, maintain that flexibility so we can think on our feet and deal with the curveballs that come our way.
Yeah, and the flexibility is only on race day. We don't have weather window period.
No.
It's not a thing that we can do or can afford to do. So it happens on the day. And let's talk about fog. We've had the 1 year where there was fog, and I think our protocols that we put in place were quite good, because I remember sending out SMS at 6 o'clock to everyone and saying, do not get out of bed, stay in bed, there's no point. It's foggy, the race is delayed for at least 2 hours. And I think that's what the protocol is. Just if I'm correct, every 2 hours from 6 o'clock, we will send you a message. And the message may be stay in bed or have a cup of coffee again. And that one went down to
2 o'clock, I think we started the race. It was also the October year in the middle of COVID. We had every curveball under the sun thrown to us that year. Yeah, that was a stressful one.
Yeah, so the race has to start at latest is 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And if people are wondering why, but it's people are taking 3 hours to get around the island, and it's coming into winter. Sun's going down.
You've got someone else on the water at 5 o'clock, and you've got a search and rescue situation happening that could take longer. Yeah, we're in the dark quite quickly.
So that's our time frame. We got to start by 2. 9 o'clock is 8:30. There's some earlier starts. 9 o'clock the main start, and then 2 o'clock is the latest.
Which a question I get asked quite a lot, and I think we're unique as a race to do this, is we're a doubles-focused race. Many disciplines are welcome, and we must actually just dive into the various disciplines that we do have. But we're a doubles race, yet when you go and try and enter this race, it forces you to enter as a single.
I think it's brilliant. I really think it's brilliant, because I can enter the race 6 months beforehand without having to worry about who my partner is going to be. I can train as hard as I want and then find a partner who's at my level, and then he can sign up and we can go do it together. I don't have to decide beforehand. Yeah. Or I can see on the list who's entered and then go, hey, do you want to paddle with me? There's so many ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we you enter as a single, and then on the race website in the beginning of April, you now have the list of people, and you can go choose your partner off there. I've had people ask me, say, well, can I choose Nick Naughton, or can I choose Kenny Rice or Jasper? I was like, sure, just as long as they don't mind. But the idea, of course, is you pick the partner that you've been teamed by. So that's quite a novel, and most people, I think, have got that each year. But we still do get the questions of, I want to enter as a double, how do I do that? Because of course that's unique to us and what we're doing for exactly the reasons that you've just laid out.
But let me ask you this, and it goes to the core reason for the event, is why is it a doubles race?
That's a good question. When you and I kind of hatched this idea of this race, I think it was, we thought we'll alternate it year on year, like a lot of races would do. And in fact, we ran it a doubles as the first year, I think, because there wasn't a high-level, elite-level doubles race. Everything, all the focus is on singles, and the doubles is either run on the same day and it's the best of the rest, or it's run on another day as the bridesmaid to the main event, which is the singles. So we thought, no, let's make an elite level where the best of the best are getting into doubles, like you kind of see at World Marathon Champs and the Olympics and such like. So that was the first year. And then I think we actually canvassed all the top guys. We went to the top guys and asked their opinion on what they thought about doing it for the next year. And I think what was their opinion?
Well, keep it doubles, because it's unique, and it's And the other thing that I find is beneficial for having a doubles race is it's a little bit safer, because there are 2 of you paddling in the craft. It's also a little bit easier because you're 28 k's around the island. You're sharing with somebody, and so you're doing half the work, I suppose. Some people do more than half the work, and it enables a lesser experienced or fit paddler to come and do a race like this.
There's another, you're dead right. There's quite a few other reasons. As you're talking there, my mind's going, and there's other few reasons. One, we're tight in space at Oceania. If we had everyone doing in singles, would we be able to store all the boats?
We never thought about that.
The other side is, if you're sending your boat down to Durban, and there's 2 of you to Durban, if you're sending it from Durban to Cape Town or from Joburg, there's 2 of you in a double, you're splitting the costs, so it's maybe a little bit cheaper along those, for
transport.
That. Yeah, exactly. But singles are welcome. I think that's something I'm going to highlight as well. It's a doubles focus race, but singles are welcome.
Yep.
And we've got a host of other craft in there. So the prize money, the focus, the rah-rah, the attention's on the doubles. Singles come along. Absolutely, and we don't break down all the categories for you, but you're welcome to come and do it. But Rich, we've got a bunch of other disciplines that do the race as well. Anything that floats is kind of one of our taglines we try to hang on to.
That's our vibe, yeah. And the reason one of the classes is the recreational. You see sit and top plastic kayaks that people buy and have at their holiday homes and whatever. It's a great stepping stone for someone to get into the sport. They can come and do the short course on these lovely little plastic boats, super stable, and they can experience what the racers experience. They can experience the event, they can experience the vibe, and then that is their aspiration, perhaps, to get further into the sport and buy themselves a surf ski, a racing craft, and move up and eventually go around the island.
I love that word aspirational, because I think it's something we've seen with Freedom Paddle, aspirational through the short course into the longer course as well. And we're fortunate enough to have a fantastic sponsor with Prescient, which enables us to put on a super sport show. So that creates exposure for an event, and I have people who I meet socially and whatnot go, oh, you're the Freedom Paddle guy, and they want to come and do the race. There's an aspirational component to do it, and I think that's really nice that we have a bit of a feeder mechanism and can feed into the main race. And our event, which is not overly challenging, 27Ks, 28Ks around the island. It's not massively far where it's too intimidating, but it's far enough to be a challenge. So it in itself becomes a feeder to races like Cape Point Challenge or stepping up to do the Berg or Doozy or some of these races that are more physically challenging than the Freedom Paddle.
Yeah, absolutely. And then even more challenging, we've had stand-up paddlers. And stand-up paddlers who go all the way around the island.
Yeah.
That is super challenging. The field's sort of faded a little bit over the last few years because I think it is just so challenging. And as all sports do, you have your heyday, it really comes into it, and then it tapers out, and then slowly it gets to a stage where it settles. But going around Robben Island on a stand-up paddleboard, 27 Ks, and it's not flat. It's never flat. That is outstanding stuff to do.
That's absolutely hard work. Speaking of sports that have their heyday, though, coastal rowing.
Yeah.
These guys approached us many years ago, and I think we had 2 boats in the first one, and they're just going from strength to strength to strength. I don't know, they're doing short course, long course now. What is this? I don't know how many of the paddlers have actually seen the coastal rowing boats. What are they all about?
So they literally are skinny rowing boats, but that can handle the big chop. And they come in singles, pairs, and quads, four-man. And the four-man, they're big. They really are big. In fact, they carry a life raft on their craft because they can't wear a buoyancy aid. Just the mechanism of rowing, buoyancy aid gets in the way. So these guys have a life raft on board. Mm-hmm. And they're going backwards. So they look at Cape Town when they're going to the island, and when they're coming home, they're looking at the island when they're coming home.
Interesting. The paddlers always say on the way back, they're staring at Table Mountain. It doesn't get any closer.
Yeah.
So the reverse for the coastal rowers, they're staring at it, and do you think they? We must ask them. Do you think they feel like it's not fading into the distance for them as they go out on the way out, or is Robben Island not disappearing fast enough on the way home?
Exactly. But and the challenge we have, logistically, is where do we put these things? Because they take up so much room. And then getting them to the start as well. They've got these trailers, the massive trailers that they're carrying these boats on, from tip to tip on their oars is 6 meters. The oars are 3 meters each. It's a logistical, I won't use the word nightmare again, but a challenge.
It's a challenge because we're tight on space.
We are tight on space.
Yeah.
But there's been a big resurgence, a new development from Hout Bay, a coastal rowing club in Hout Bay, and they came last year for the first time, and they brought, what have you noticed, these yellow...
very sexy looking craft.
Yeah, they brought those down, and this year they're coming with even more. So talking about a class that's in its heyday, well, these guys are actually...
And it's not as easy as it looks. I tried. You tried. You picked it up naturally. I was completely uncoordinated. I really struggled to try.
That's right. We did that video in Simonstown.
And then we've got the guys, the prone paddlers, which is more the short course. But we've had prone paddlers. I mean, this is a giant surfboard you're lying down paddling with your hands, right?
Yeah. We've had them go, well, in the early days, they went around the island on their own the whole way. And then I think they realized that's seriously tough. And then they stood in relays.
Yeah, which is still it's still an option.
Yeah.
And for the subs, actually, you can do a relay option as well.
That's right, yeah. And it's mostly, and that's a knockoff from Lifesaving, so Lifesaving Discipline Board. And a lot of them still come and do the short course.
Yeah. Speaking of Lifesaving,
Yes.
it's a little known fact that we are sanctioned as the Lifesaving South Africa's long distance. In lifesaving terms, they take surf skis, they sprint through the surf, go around some cans and sprint home. So 10 kilometers, which is the length of our short course, in lifesaving terms is a long distance event.
Very, very long.
Yeah, and we are the official long distance lifesaving champs for surf ski.
It's brilliant, yeah. And this year, thankfully, unlike last year, there was a clash of events. So this year we don't clash, and we're hoping that all these guys are going to come down and just keep training after their nationals, and which is, I think, a week or two before.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. And Rich, and I think everything culminates for me in to come back to prize giving. We're talking about getting it going really, really fast. And the other thing we try and do is keep our prize givings really high energy and really fun and as short as we can. But because we're a popular race, because we have so many paddlers, it's really hard to get it short. But we try and actually keep it to an hour. And if you're considering what we've got to get through, that's a Herculean effort. But to our credit, if I can crow for a moment, we pretty much tick it off each time and rush through that prize giving, but keep it high energy and fun. And then, of course, at the end of that, it's the first brandy and Coke for you and I when the job is done, and that kind of wraps up Freedom Paddle for us at the end of 2026. Well, not really. We've got to get results out there, and there's obviously a lot of loose ends to tie up.
Well, there's breaking down the compound as well. We keep forgetting about that, and I sit there watching you have your first one while I'm in the back knocking the things down, but I'll make up for it later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Rich, it's putting together a Freedom Paddle, a Prescient Freedom Paddle with you and our partner Treble, and actually the entire team. I think, Freedom Paddle, we talk about the very first year we ran 2018, day zero. There was water was going to run out. At one stage, day zero happened to fall on the date. We pulled it off, you and I. And with Tim, our co-founder, we didn't know what we were doing. It was, by hook or by crook.
Quite right, yes.
We absolutely got it done. But we've grown through that. And I think really what we have learned is the consistency of a team. We've got a fantastic team now. We've got Graham Daniels handling all our video work and our social media and planning. He's an absolute pleasure to work with. We've got our partner Treble, and we're sitting in the
offices,
wonderful offices right now. And we've got Prescient, who's just phenomenal. We've got Eurosteel, who's just, all over the place, and I'm probably not going to mention about a whole bunch of sponsors I should be mentioning.
Well, we get to give away a really nice surf ski at the end of it.
Carbonology. We get to support charities like Operation Smile over the years.
Yeah, Sandparks,
honorary rangers from Sandparks.
And I think a paddler walks away with a set of car tires as well.
Yes, from Dunlop. We've got Woodstock Brewery. I know I'm going to leave out some sponsors, so we're moving on from that. But I think the point I want to make is having a consistent team that works together year after year after year. It's got easier and easier to put on this race, and the standard, we hope, has been increasing as well, which is really fantastic. So, and what a pleasure it is to work with the team that we have. So, looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. Let's do it.